if you can see that your product is selling better with better sound and it gets better reviews. Actually, I saw a car review who scored the car better just because the sounds were better. He didn't talk about how fast it could go, how fast it could brake, how many airbags. He talked about the user experience. It's a car today is a driving iPad on wheels. So all these sounds here, I got so stressed of these, beeps and bops. So suddenly it was too close to the edge, or too close to that, and sometimes there wasn't even a thing, and it just started to delete. What was that? Was it a fly running through the camera? What was it? So I think it's so important that we also choose brands and products with our ears as well with our eyes and also with our wallets.
Welcome to Audio Branding, the hidden gem of marketing. Sound plays a more important role in human behavior and our decision-making than you may realize. In this podcast, I'll help you understand the art and science of sound so you can better influence others in business and your life. I'm your host, Jodi Krangle. Let's delve a little deeper. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Karsten. I appreciate your taking the time. I know it's later in the evening, or it's getting into evening where you are. So,
That's
yeah,
right.
After your long day, you're here to talk to me, and I appreciate it.
Always. I've been looking so much forward, Jodi, for this.
Likewise, yeah. So we talk about sound and the power of it and how it influences us here. That's what the whole podcast is about in, so many words. And I
Really? I thought it was about the food.
No, we could talk about food. We can always talk about food. But I like to start off the discussion asking you if you have an early memory of how sound moved you.
Well, I have. I was brought up in a family where my father was a drummer. So I've always been around musicians and music. And first time I really discovered that I had this almost perfect pitch was I went to a music school, and I think I have HD, AD, something like that. Yeah. So I wasn't that good in school in in English and math and stuff, but in music, without doing any effort, I was an A+ student. That's where I thought, oh, there's something about these sounds here. I can hear the notes, I can hear the chords, and then it's easy for me to navigate in music. So that was my early time discovering and also singing in the choir that I have this, good hearing. So that was my success actually in an early stage in life. That there's something that I'm good at. So I think it's important for me that was the music that was easy for me to understand and play drums and the piano. So
wonderful.
That was
yeah. So how did you go from music to like advertising? Because that's a pretty big leap.
Yeah, I can understand you. Well, actually, I pursued a dream playing live drums, and I played professionally for more than 10 years. And after a gig in the northern of Denmark, I saw that my dad was going to play the same venue with some other guys. But dad, he was 35 years older than me. And I thought, am I going to do this? Playing the same gigs, the same venues when I'm the same age of my father. So I thought I want to do something else besides music. So I also took a software development degree. And then when I was working at an agency, we were supposed to do a commercial. And that was when I discovered that brands has a really hard time, talking about music and converting their brand and ideas into sound and music. They know their colors. They can give a brief of what should happen in the film or a commercial or whatever. But when it came to sound, it was just uplifting, happy, feel-good music. And what is that? So I discovered they don't have any language. That went back in 2004, I think. Early days of sound branding. There was only Mr. Jackson of the UK, and I think Julian Treasure also were talking about that days. There weren't that many, audio branding companies at that early days. So I founded the Sonic Branding at that time. That was my first company. So that was my way into audio branding. Sorry. And being a musician, I felt I have an advantage, but also learning the marketing skills from my software education school and the whole digital sphere. I realized that this was before YouTube and Spotify was just starting. I thought this is going to be big, so I actually started making ringtones for the early Nokias. Actually, that was a big thing back in the zeros here.
Yeah.
So that was my way into music, using my music skills and my home network, and trying to develop this audio branding company that I have today.
So that's Sonic Minds, right? That's what it's called?
That is Sonic Minds, yes.
Okay. And
out of Copenhagen here.
Yeah. So you've been around since 2004. Is that when you started? Or
yeah, I tried to find the first one started. I think it was 2004, 2005.
Okay.
And then after the the big crash in 2009, I went bankrupt. But I started up again the day after, and continued with Sonic Minds, and here we are today.
Wow. Yeah. It's a long journey.
Yeah, it is.
You've seen a lot of change, I imagine, right?
I've seen a lot of change, before YouTube, then YouTube came, and suddenly, brands and companies need to communicate in these spheres. How did they do that? How did they choose music? How should they buy music? So it's a whole new game from only being on TV and radio to actually be on all the time and keep communicating and producing content all the time. So it's a whole different game today.
Yeah, and you are very sensitive to noise, I hear. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I discovered it pretty late in my life. I think it was around 6 or 8 years ago. I thought, when I hear a small, fuzz or ringing tone in my surroundings, where does that sound come from? I easily get disturbed if I cannot identify the sound, or cutlery or plates in the kitchen that put together, in restaurants. This really, it annoys me, and I get easily disturbed. Also due to my ADHD, I think, ADHD. So I went online. I thought, why am I sensitive to sound? And then suddenly I discovered that almost 20% of the population have some kind of, HSP, highly sensitive people. Some have it to color, some have it to light, and I have to sound, and many people have to sound. And it was kind of a relief, because then I'm not alone here. And I found communities on Facebook that also complained about noise and sounds. And actually, as we speak today, last week, a new exhibition in the Museum of Copenhagen. They have the sound of Copenhagen, the sounds and the history of noise throughout in 200 years in Copenhagen, how it has been developed, and how noise has been a problem since the early days with carriages and factories downtown, etc. So it isn't only me who are disturbed by it. We are many people out there. I can say that.
Yeah. I have heard of the term. In fact, I actually did the narration for a documentary called Sensitive, which I believe it had, oh God, I've forgotten her name now, and I'm not going to waste too much time, but it had a famous musician in it who has the same problem. It was really, really fascinating. But how has that informed your audio branding now through Sonic Minds? Because it must color everything you do there.
It does. And we have this philosophy that we always present for clients and prospects that says, we believe that when we break the silence, it must create more meaning and value than the silence itself.
Otherwise, a good point.
We are just creating noise.
Yes.
And that is because I think that the world doesn't need more sound or music or audio branding companies for that sake. We need purposeful sound and music. It's actually pretty simple. I mean, I'll be interested if you'll be interesting to listen to. So instead of yelling at the street corner, buy me, listen to this louder, and TV commercials are almost plus whatever dB louder than the others. Now there's a law that they have to be the same volume. In the old days, we have to turn down the TV volume when the breaks come on, because they were so much louder, because they want the attention. Hear me, buy me. But what do we do as humans when we get yelled at? We go away. We turn to silent places. And I see people today, they pay money to go to silent retreats. They wear their anti-noise cancellations in public spaces and offices, because they just want to get some headroom. So we use that as a philosophy, and also as a leading star. So when we do create a sound for a product or a brand, is this really adding to the communication? Is it making it more engaging? What is it we want the user to think or feel or do when listen to this? And are we achieving that goal? Or is silence better, or is less music better? So I believe that good sound design is actually something you shouldn't, notice. It should just help you doing the user, the problem you're doing or the action you're doing with the product. And music for film should just, enhance the experience. It shouldn't be something in your face, or when you notice the music as bad, that's when sound design or music branding, audio branding has gone wrong. It should really be, wow, this feels good. This sounds great, and sounds simple, but not always.
Yeah, definitely not simple. I think if it was simple, there wouldn't be so many audio branding specific companies out there.
Yeah, there's been a growth in that since I started. There were only a handful, and now I see every country have their own, local audio branding agency, and they're all doing pretty good, I think. But that's probably because there must be a need out there.
Yeah, definitely. I think that better sound is something that people are starting to at least pay a little more attention to, which is good to hear.
It's quite funny because in the film industry, we know that, you see a big film, Hans Zimmer or John Williams, whatever, they also, the film score is 50%, 60% of the film, but when it comes to branding and commercials, why should we live with poor music or bad styling music or bad sound design in products? Why should we accept that? I mean, and we all know for so many research now that if your communication has on-brand music that is people like, it has a lot more effect. So why do you invest so much in the visuals and the film, but then you miss out on the really good sound? So it's kind of like have a really good dinner and you serve poor wine.
That's so true. Yeah,
because I cannot say that sound is everything, but it's all mingled together. It's just something that doesn't sound right here, and that's where I use my sensitivity. So I know why is sounding not right, and know what to do. What should we turn down? Is it the mix? Is it the volume? Or is it actually the whole emotional feeling you're creating with the sound of music that is odd here? So, and that's where many marketeers don't have a language. And that's also why they feel a little bit, what can you say, when we have these discussions, oh, I don't know nothing about music. I don't feel that I can contribute with, valid discussions. Well, we'll teach you how to listen and also give you some words so we can discuss it more objectively. Just like food, is it hot? Is it sweet? Is it salt? Is it, what is it? And is it bitter? And same with music, was it? Then we can have a more objective discussion. So we actually use a lot of time with our clients to give a language and educate throughout the process.
Hi, I'm Benjamin Caput, a filmmaker, composer, and music producer. And I want to thank you for listening to the Audio Branding Podcast, your best place to learn about using the power of sound to tell your story.
What kind of language do you use? I'm curious now. Is it emotional language? Is that what we're getting into?
That's a good question. We try to identify the attributes, the key drivers for the brand that they feel is very, very important. And most often it's the word innovative, as you can hear in our own podcast. But what is innovative for you is not perhaps innovative for me.
Exactly, yeah.
And then we stress and challenge our clients. Okay, you say you want to be perceived as innovative. Do you want to listen to some really innovative music? And then we play some really, hard, innovative, sophisticated music. And then they say, I don't think we are that innovative. Okay.
Not quite that much.
So that's too. We're more like Michael Jackson innovative. Okay, so you think Michael Jackson innovative? Well, that's pop music.
Okay.
So how should we be presenting yourself in music? If we should use music to show you that you're innovative, perhaps you should have it in your services. But then music can be used for something else to create calmness or secureness or whatever. So that can be used in different ways. It could also be used different meters. 4/7 or 5/4s. So the music is a little bit sophisticated in an innovative way. So you play a track. That's funny. It's played in another beat that you wouldn't do normally. So that could also be. So we use different musical tricks. It could be instrumentations. It could be keys. It could be meters, whatever, to represent that. And that's what we do with our clients. Tell them what we can do, and then suddenly, now I can hear that we should sound like this and not like this. Oh, this really feels like us. Yes, cool.
Interesting.
And again, music cannot be totally translated into words. That's the beauty about music. Sometimes it just feels right. You cannot say is it the bass or is it the keys or is it the harmony? It's just a mix of it. So
it's a universal language, I guess, but we don't all use the same language to describe it. We know it viscerally, but we don't know how to express it in words in some instances. So yeah, I can see how it would be tough to get the client to tell you exactly what they're thinking, because their way of describing things may not be the way that you understand what you're doing.
I mean, I went out to a restaurant lately, and they had this, menu, and it was hot. So, what is hot for you? These guys were from Asia, so medium for them is very hot for me. So, same with music. Is this heavy? No, that's soft rock. I mean, come on, no, this is pretty heavy for us. Okay, so when we have identified these, this is where we are. Then we can have a valid discussion. What is hot? What is sweet? And what is innovative? And what is progressive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So once you're relating to the same words that mean the same thing, then you can actually create something.
Is your background blue or is it red? What do you mean? Mine is red. No, it's blue. Well, then the discussion is very difficult to have if we don't have the same language.
Yeah. It's strange how that would happen. Yes. UX sounds. So, I mean, we're talking about audio branding, and yes, definitely you need to know the language that the client is speaking so that they can relate what they're wanting to you in a way that you understand and can interpret and create. And then we get to sounds for software or sounds for gaming or sounds for a kettle or a washing machine or
you name it.
All sorts of things, right? That also should relate back to the sound design of that company. But how do you make those sounds not annoying?
Well, when is a sound annoying and when should it be annoying? I mean, I have a fire alarm in my house here, and it is supposed to be attention-seeking and annoying, because if it was pleasant, I wouldn't wake up in the middle of the night.
True,
so
yes.
Actually, even though it sounds very annoying and very loud, it's good, because that is the purpose of the sound. It should wake me up and make sure that the sound sounds something's very wrong in the house right now. So what we do with our clients is that we identify, we give them a spectrum. What is branded sound? What is information sound? What are warning sounds? And where in that spectrum should the sounds be within? If something's about to really break, like in a car, you're about to die sound, for instance, or you're crashing in 5 seconds if you don't do something. That's a very attention-seeking sound. Whereas you might run out of gas or electricity within 10 miles. That could be more informative sound. Whereas the longer branded sound, a power-on sound of a headphone or a speaker, whatever, it could be pleasant. Now I'm booting up and making my ready self for you, so I can play music for you or vacuum your living room or whatever the product should do. So we distinguish between these functional sounds and make an audio architecture, and then divide them into families. Which one are siblings, so they match up, down, on, off, left, right, whatever. So it's kind of like a puzzle. So we make this audio puzzle. So they all have a meaning in themselves. For instance, a modern headset for whatever company, it can have up to around 15 different sounds. Power on, power off, battery low, volume max, next song, anti-noise cancellation on, hear through, Bluetooth connection lost, you name it. But how can you make a sound that sounds like I'm connected to the Bluetooth sound? And that's where the meaningfulness comes in. And we have developed really, some tools to create that mapping and do the functionality, but also the aesthetics. Is it big and mushy, or is it cold and with metal? The sound should reflect the design form and the material of the product, and also how you push it. Is it a cold button, or is it a wobbly button? Is it metal, or is it aluminum, or is it wood? So we very much look into the overall design of the product, and then we design the aesthetics to that, along with the functionality.
Yeah, and then you have to also call that back to the audio branding of the company itself, right? So I guess some of them would feel more high-end than others, depending on...
What is premium, for instance? We are premium brand. You should sound premium. If you buy a headset for B&O for 1,500 euros, it shouldn't sound like something from Toys R Us. You expect a premium sound.
That's a good point.
And what is a premium sound? Or a car, you just pay $50,000 for a car, and it sounds like some cheap toy from Walmart. This doesn't feel right. So we we believe that UX sounds are becoming more and more the most played sounds for many brands, but they are not aware of that. They still think that, of course, commercials and branding is important, but if I wear a pair of headsets every day, which I turn on, or drive a car that I use daily, or use my coffee machine, or stuff, or whatever, these interaction sounds, these user interaction sounds are becoming the most heard sounds from me, from the brand. And if they sound cheap, it's probably a cheap brand. If it sounds annoying, it's an annoying brand, because we feel and see and experience as much with our ears as with our eyes. Actually, I bought a water boiler here some years ago. You know, what can go wrong? A water boiler. You put it into the kitchen, pour water, and it boils, and ding, it's done. But this water boiler, for some reason, the engineers decided that when it was done boiling, they played a really loud sound like a fire alarm. You know, so what's going on? I was just trying to, you know, quietly wake up in the morning and have a cup of tea, but I woke up the whole house because the water's done boiling. Hooray, hooray. I went down to the store and said, listen, I don't want this in my house. What's wrong with it? Does it work? It works fine, but please write bad sound design, call Sonic Minds.
Wow.
And I bought something else, because I tried to count how many products I have in my home that can produce a sound. The TV, the PlayStation, the kitchen, the fridge, the oven, the dishwasher, the washing machine, the coffee machine, you name it. You know, suddenly you have cacophony, so many things that have a small speaker. Your small speakers perhaps also can play a sound. Alexa from Google, you name it. Just look around you in your own room. Which one has speakers there?
There's a lot of things here that make sound.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if we don't take ownership to this audio landscape, I think we get audio pollution. That's also my question in the world. No, don't just play a sound just because we can. What is it you want to do? Why should you interrupt the user or disturb the user what he or she is doing? You know, rather than, yeah. So it's often a misunderstanding of how to use sound, and that's because when we work with these larger companies, the branding says we take care of the branded sounds, which are the commercials and films, but the engineers take care of the product. Well, I don't care who take care of the. So I see a commercial and I hear the product here. These are not alike. It feels different. So it's silos within the companies that they need to break down, and also understand that the whole user journey. I might see something. I might start an experience from the app. For instance, a car. You can see the app, how much power it has. So this sound in the app should also be an extension of the sounds in the car, which should be an extension of the sounds in the commercials, which should be an extension on home music that I'm calling to the company because the car doesn't work anymore. Just like the colors. Fun enough, we can figure it out with colors. We have the same logo on products. When you go into the store, I recognize the product. It's Colgate, it's whatever, it's Pepsi. I can navigate through that. And when you buy the product at home, or you see driving on the highway, we can navigate with our eyes. But how many brands can be recognized throughout their user journey with sounds?
Yeah.
I don't think that many, actually.
It's unfortunate that, I mean, I'm still seeing that these days. I'm still seeing that now, that a lot of people, like you said, there's a complete disconnect between the sound they're putting on their commercials and that audio brand and the products that they produce that make sound. Like what?
It's two different departments.
Yeah, completely different. It just doesn't make any sense to me at all. Also, healthcare has a big problem with this. And I think we talked about this when we had our early chat. Yeah, so everything in a hospital, all the machines are designed to have alarming sounds. And not all of them are for alarms. So you have 50 machines in one small enclosed space, all making alarming sounds, and no one's dying.
Yeah. Actually, when my daughter was born here 14 years ago, and me being noise sensitive, and suddenly this little machine has this beep, beep, beep. So this doesn't sound that. The sound says to me that something's wrong. My wife was about to give birth. And I called the nurse. I said, why is this machine? Can you please tell me? Because I'm getting, is something wrong with the baby? Oh, no, that's normal. And then she gave it this, it's just running out of battery sound. Okay, I mean, what we are trying to give birth here. And I was saying, is it important? No, it doesn't matter. It's just and then there was the other machine for the blood pressure and another machine for, whatever,
Yeah.
So you're totally right, and it is a big problem. Also for the people working there, is it important, or is it just does it just need new battery sound? As I talked to you before, the the scale of importance? Is it about to die sound, or is it please look to me in the next couple of days because you might want to change the battery sound?
Yeah, there's no design there. There's no functionality
There's no it's
in the
on
sound.
and off. Either we're screaming just like a water boiler, or we're not screaming.
Yeah.
Could be scale a little bit, just like colors. Is it pink, or is it just pleasant color?
Yes.
And that's about education. So we really think that there's still a long way to educate the market, the brands, the companies, the product owners, the UXers. But perhaps it's because I'm in this UX UI sound bubble or marketing bubble with sound. But I do feel that it is getting more attention, because if you can see that your product is selling better with better sound and it gets better reviews. Actually, I saw a car review who scored the car better just because the sounds were better. He didn't talk about how fast it could go, how fast it could brake, how many airbags. He talked about the user experience. It's a car today is a driving iPad on wheels. So all these sounds here, I got so stressed of these, beeps and bops. So suddenly it was too close to the edge, or too close to that, and sometimes there wasn't even a thing, and it just started to delete. What was that? Was a fly running through the camera? What was it? So I think it's so important that we also choose brands and products with our ears as well, with our eyes, and also with our wallets.
Yeah, very, very important. And I think that is starting to happen. I like to think.
You do?
I like to think it's starting to happen. I think we are paying a little more attention to our environment, mostly because there is so much noise. And when I say noise, I'm not all speaking about sound. I mean, we're inundated with visuals as well. So
we're bombarded with sound, visual inputs.
Well, that's the end of this episode. Thanks for listening. And if you like what you heard, why not tell a friend about this podcast? It's available in all the usual locations. Until next time.